gotta care about shit. And sometimes it fucking kicks you in the dick and you hate it. I will say, though, if the Giants don't lose their game for the rest of this season or postseason, I think they win the Super Bowl.
Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are probably looking at this going, why did we waste millions of dollars sending something into space when we could have just got Harry Kane to kick the fucking thing?
The Dallas Cowboys can suck my fucking dick because they're not going to win shit this year.
You're listening to the Claret and Big Blue podcast on the Pass the Gravy Podcast Network.
Damn, Daniel.
And here we go.
And we are live.
We'll do it live.
Welcome everyone to Claret and Big Blue, probably the only podcast on the internet dedicated to West Ham United and the New York Giants. That's right, football and football. Balls for everyone's taste. I am Mike Fish, and I am joined, as always, by part owner of XFL's Houston Roughnecks, ergo business partner to Dwayne The Rock Johnson. This is Alex Johnson. Alex, how you doing, buddy?
Doing just great as 1-0 on the season for the Roughnecks. 6-0 all-time, greatest sports franchise, winning percentage-wise of all time. Things are going pretty well.
And you beat the was it the Guardians or something?
The Orlando Guardians, yeah.
Schmorlando.
Beat them down.
That's what happens when you leave Jersey. You deserve every beat down you get. How was so you got to see the man himself in person, right? You rub shoulders with The Rock.
He's a large man.
Large man, jacked.
Yep, yeah, he is. He was. I think he went to all the games. I know he was at the Dallas game earlier that day, so obviously he had flown over. But that was cool to see him there. It's not like a huge stadium, so he was like right behind us, kind of. But that was pretty tight. But I was like just kind of happy that football wasn't over. You usually would go in that lull after football season. It's like, nope, it's XFL time.
And then you got USFL. There we go.
USFL.
Are they still doing that weird thing where there's like all the games happen in like one stadium or something?
I don't know. That's what they did last year to start it off, at least. I don't know if that was more like they were trying not to fold in 1 year. So I would imagine that maybe they're doing that again. I don't know. I haven't heard where like the gamblers and the Houston gamblers and people would play. Let me check.
It's pretty hard because I know in USFL you have, I don't know why I'm saying like that, USFL, you have a New York team, as far as if I remember correct. New Jersey Generals. But it's pretty hard. Oh, it's two stadiums now. Ooh, expanding. It's now all of the games are going to be either in Birmingham, Alabama, or Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay. I guess that expands it a little bit.
Yeah, so
I think the Birmingham team won it last year, so it's like, well, yeah, no shit. Like they're the only team with home fans.
Wait, breaking news. It's actually not breaking news. It's probably been on
what is happening?
So week 1, they're in Memphis and Birmingham. Week 2, Memphis, Birmingham. And then week 3, they've got a couple of games in Detroit. What? And then it's Canton, like Ohio. Whoop. Oof. Canton, Ohio.
I think the title was the championship game was in Canton, Ohio, where like they play the Hall of Fame game.
I don't know. Is it other than
it's weird though. Just like it's hard to follow a team and get like a following when they don't play in the city that they play for. So like that's what like the cool thing is about the Roughnecks is you can just it's like a wrestling environment, but like for a home football team, and you get to go see them with the USFL. It's like I'm not going to just go to watch parties all the time. Like it's fun.
I can't imagine many people
when you get to go see them.
can't imagine many people from New Jersey making the road trip to Canton, Ohio to cheer on the Generals.
Yeah.
What the fuck is there to do in Canton, Ohio anyway?
I don't know what's there to do in Birmingham, Alabama. The NFL Hall of Fame is in Canton, Ohio.
Is it? Did you know that? Did you just?
I did know that. That's where they play the Hall of Fame game. And it's like 45 minutes from Cleveland. So like basically Cleveland.
Things to do in Canton, Ohio. That's pretty much it. The Hall of Fame. Sweet. Anyway. And yeah, in case you haven't seen on the interwebs on Twitter, you may or may not be able to find a video of Alex being the star of the halftime show.
Big deal. Big deal.
How did that come around? I know you get. I know you. He's
I know
going to
the
go into it
in-game
more
host.
past the gravy, so you have to listen to that. But
Yeah.
did you get like? Was it a raffle or something?
No, I know the guy that does the halftime stuff. So he was like, "Do you want to do the halftime show?" I was like, "Yeah." And that was pretty much like it was a text.
Oh, so are you going to do it next week? You're going to try to avenge
if
your
he
loss?
asked me, like, I was at a tailgate when he asked if I would, and I was just like, "Yeah." I mean, he didn't really let me know what we were gonna do, like the second quarter, and I was like, "All right, I'm in."
So how many? By the time, because I've through experience, I know it doesn't feel good when you go for a run after you've had a tipple. You've had how many deep were you when you shot off from the starting line on your halftime race?
I've been drinking for a while. Like,
did you throw up afterwards?
no, I didn't. I was
Oh.
okay. I don't know. I was probably like 13-ish deep if we're also counting like shots, like Jello shots and then pregame shots and stuff like that. So like probably like 13 like adult beverages in some capacity consumed if you also include shots. I wasn't like just like destroyed, like wasted, but it was like I was feeling good.
Yeah, when they put the microphone to you, you sounded a little.
I was trying
happy.
to sound hyped, dude. I was trying to sound hyped. Get the people jacked. Get the people excited.
Yeah, check it out. Go to. In fact, show me.
It's just on my Twitter. I posted it on my Twitter. So
Alex J. Middleton. CMV the star of the show. So is that? Are you going to go next? Or are they away next week or?
No, they're home again. We got the Arlington Renegades, which is basically Dallas. They used to be the Dallas Renegades. Now they're the Arlington Renegades.
But they probably stay the same because Dallas Cowboys, for example, play their games in Arlington, right?
Right. Well, they play where the Texas Rangers used to play.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, it's stupid, but we'll beat them. We'll go 2-0, 7-0 all time. It's just what the Roughnecks do.
Do you reckon this one's got a good chance of making it finally? I know, obviously, this is like, what was it, third?
If another
3.0?
pandemic doesn't happen, yeah, I think so. I think I'll make it to the season.
So last time it looked the last one under the Vinnie Mac. It didn't look like it was doing too bad, but then
it was doing fine. And then when you don't have any games and you're an upstart league, it doesn't really play out well.
Oh dear. Well, best of luck, The Rock. I saw someone made a joke about him making like an empowered speech, and I think they put something like it's almost presidential or something like that. It was, and then I read that like when I was half awake, and I was like, wait, The Rock's running for president? Serious? What? Could you imagine?
He'd get votes.
I don't know how good of a job he'd do, but I'd be watching every single presidential speech because that's as long as he would. I mean, I can't vote still because I'm an immigrant, but whatever. But I think you should vote for him if he does ever run, as long as he ends every speech with "If you smell," that'd be great. Could you imagine that?
I don't know how many people would take him seriously at that point, but it would be funny.
And every like NATO conference or the G7, whatever the fuck they do, it was, oh, Russia. Is that what you think we should do? Yes. It doesn't matter what you think. Oh, we were getting so many wars, but it'd be fun to
Oh
watch.
yeah, it probably would be a bad strategy to do that with all of the stuff you do, for sure.
Rock bottoming people. Bring it on. Anyway, shall we talk about sports other than
We
XL?
can. do
Big
that.
big news hitting the Twitter sphere. Daniel Jones allegedly demands 45 million a year. Allegedly. What are your thoughts? Twitter's blowing up. People losing their
I
minds.
saw Daniel Jones yesterday. I think it was in like Turks and Caicos. So I don't really think he's in like heavy, like hardcore negotiations right now. I think a lot of his speculation. I think you kind of start high at a certain point, and you like say, "This is what I want," and then you kind of work your way towards the middle somewhere. I don't think he's going to get $45 million, but I also think if you're going to sign your franchise quarterback in the NFL, like that's kind of what the market is. So, I mean, I guess that would be what it would be, 45 a year. I personally don't think he should do that. But then again, like, I don't understand why people are trying to like fault the guy for trying to make money. Like, is he going to do this to this team? It's like, you mean ask for the most money he can make? Like you would do that at your job? Like, yeah, you can't really fault him for that. I think it does seem like with like outside of Daniel, it seems like Saquon's definitely going to hit free agency. And if you had to pick one of the two, I think I said it a couple weeks ago. I was like, I'd rather take Daniel going long term over Saquon, because we've seen in this league what happens when you pay a running back. And like, yeah, there's some exceptions, I guess, like Adrian Peterson and stuff like that, but the odds are not in our favor to like give Saquon an insane amount of money.
I mean, just look at what Dallas Cowboys did when they paid their running back a lot of money.
And now they're about to like, keep Tony. Yeah, they're going to franchise tag Tony Pollard, and he's going to be their one next year, probably. They could get rid of Zeke this offseason.
I don't like his face. His face annoys me.
Yeah, I don't like him either. But if you look at what Dable and Shane had done when they were with Buffalo, and that's again me just trying to draw parallels from how they kind of built teams prior, even though they weren't the ones completely in charge. Like Buffalo's offense still is not really like, they have a running game, but like they're not like, well, like they traded for Nyheim Hines, and then they had Singleton was running the ball for them, and then James Cook was the guy they drafted to run the ball. And it's like they're not going like big name running backs or anything like that. They're just like, hey, we got a running game. We're gonna just get the ball to whoever wants to run the ball. Like when you look at teams like the Chiefs and the Eagles, just the two teams that made it to the Super Bowl this year. The Eagles had Miles Sanders, but they also had Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott, and they also had a couple other guys that could run the ball. The Chiefs had, I mean, Edwards-Helaire was out, but they had Jerick McKinnon for a little bit, I believe. Then they had Isaiah Pasco or Pacheco. I mean, they had all kinds of like different guys that they would run the ball with. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing in this league is what wins. Like it's the 49ers. That's how they get to like long postseason runs. I mean, they have Christian McCaffrey, so that helps, but they also have no problem handing it to Deebo Samuel and having like the run game is kind of not through one guy. And I think the Giants did kind of try, and Matt Breida kind of got some action in there. You kind of saw a couple of other guys we tried to mix in there. Obviously, nobody's as good or explosive as Saquon, but I think the Giants are like, if we have to make sacrifices, like, can we trust the quarterback position, or are we going to have to hope that like the running back position is going to just be all it is forever? Because we saw Saquon he started really hot. He had a great season, but like he did have like a couple of valleys before he'd have those peaks again. And he was a beast in the postseason. Like I want to keep Saquon, but just at what cost, you know?
Yeah, I heard some people talking about doing the non-exclusive franchise tag for Daniel Jones, just so, you know, other people can negotiate for him. And that might be a way of, if he sees that his market value isn't as high as what he may think it is, because if he non-franchise, I think the number I heard thrown around for a non-exclusive franchise tag is like 32 million for a quarterback. But if he goes out and negotiates that sees no one really wants him, or he's not getting that much of a contract offer, could then the Giants then say, actually, how about we renegotiate maybe like a 3-year deal for 75 mil or something like that, rather than 1 year 32 mil? But it's very risky. But I was kind of thinking, would you think if they can negotiate his contract, would it be worth? Because I'm assuming franchise tag for a running back is less than a quarterback.
And it was like
in that
10 or 12 million, like 10.5 or 12 million, something like that.
Would you? I'm
And
just
quarterback would
throwing
be
this out
30.
here.
Yeah.
Just throwing this out here. Would it not be worth a shot to non-exclusive franchise tag Saquon Barkley in that, hey, worst case scenario, I guess, we get to keep him for another year, then renegotiate or see what happens. But also, we could have a chance of other teams coming in. We could potentially get some draft picks for him rather than him going free agent. What are your thoughts on that? I'm just throwing it out, spitballing here.
I don't know. I feel like Saquon's less likely to not to I think Saquon's more likely to hold out than Daniel would. I think Daniel Jones will be wrapped up before Saquon's, it seems like, or like Saquon will just hit free agency, really. I mean, hitting Daniel Jones with the tag would make most sense. I know it's like a lot, but it's 1 year a lot, and you can kind of reevaluate again. Like I don't see Daniel not being our quarterback next year unless something crazy happens or we have some kind of weird deal that goes down. It seemed like they started realizing like they're going to build this offense around him. Saquon, just if he does that non-exclusive thing, like I just think that like if we don't have a long-term deal with Daniel Jones, like there's no way we're probably going to keep Saquon. We franchise Daniel, Saquon's going, but I think if you can maybe put the non-exclusive on Saquon, like see what somebody does, but I still think nobody will do anything with him. Like they're not going to give up a bunch. I think it's 2 first-round draft picks if it's non-exclusive and their first-round pick. Like I don't think anybody's going to go with that. So it would just kind of be like, all right, we'll just do it for 10 million or 10 or 12 million for a year, which then you have Daniel and Saquon on the books at that. And that's just kind of I think you can backload contracts if you want, if you try and sign both of them, but it's going to be really hard to do that. And it seems like the Giants are just like, we're not going to go all in on a running back that's had an injury history, even if he was awesome last year.
By backload contracts, just for those that might not understand me, does that mean, for example, if you just say, okay, just throw
you would start making more now, and then like you could get, say you were getting, what does he want? Like
I was gonna say 30, like 60 million over 3 years. Would it be 30, 20, 10?
Yeah, then you could like increase it towards the back end of his contract. It's a big baseball move. It's not as much in the NFL, but like because typically you would restructure it and kind of push other shit back to try and take less money. That's what like Brady did with the Patriots for so many years. But you could theoretically be like, all right, we'll give you 25 mil this year, 30 mil next year, and then like 35, and it'll go to like 40 million, which is going to kind of like suck. Cause then when if like somebody tails off, you're paying him this much, you're paying him more next year, and he's declining in productivity. It looks bad, but like you can also not spend so much this season on him. Right. And if he agrees to that, a lot of players won't do that because they know that they could get cut unless it's guaranteed money.
Yeah. Well, I think either way, I think whether we use a tag or not, I think just based on the rumors of Daniel Jones wanting 45 million, which I'm going to assume, like you say, he's on vacation. Maybe that's just his people floating out a number to see.
Yeah, you shoot high, you see what happens.
So I think, I think that's a negotiating tactic. I think, like I said, even if he wants maybe 35, why would you say 35 at the beginning? You'd say, okay, let's go to 45. If they say yes, sweet. If not, we go down to where I want to be at.
But and again, like I don't know what Giants Twitter got in like a fucking they were just freaking out. Like we had the Daniel Jones haters kind of go away when he was starting to go off and he was being Dan guy like we told everybody he would be in the playoffs. And like now they're just coming back out of the woodwork like he's just not worth it. It's like if he's a fucking franchise quarterback, he's worth the money you got to pay him. You got to pay a franchise quarterback. You know, like everybody's not going to be the best quarterback in the league. Not everybody's going to have Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is a one-of-a-kind quarterback. Daniel Jones is not Patrick Mahomes. I get that. I'm not saying he is. I'm also not saying to give him a 10-year contract worth what Patrick Mahomes has. But when you look at like when Eli came out, Eli got 84 million or 100 million in that second deal that he got. But it was like Eli had just come off of a second Super Bowl MVP, a second Super Bowl as the team's leader. Like, I don't think that's the money that Daniel Jones is going to get, but that was the market for what quarterbacks were. Like Dak got, I think, what did he get? 34 million. Like Daniel Jones is right. He's got to be right in there. Like if you don't, like, you can't tell me that Dak Prescott's that much better than Daniel Jones.
And what has he done? What has he achieved?
But if you think Dak's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, like you can't tell me like he's 5-6 quarterback spots ahead of Daniel Jones. You can't tell me that. Daniel Jones and Dak Prescott, you can say is better than Daniel Jones. I would take Daniel Jones over Dak Prescott all fucking day. Like, but you know that. You know I'm biased in that. But Daniel Jones is within like striking distance of Dak Prescott. So if you pay Dak Prescott that money, even though he got scrutinized last year for it, you got to pay Daniel Jones that money if he's the guy.
I don't think. I mean, maybe it's again we're biased, maybe, but I don't rate Dak Prescott as much as some people do. I don't. I think it's just because he's on a lot of money and he's the Cowboys quarterback, so he gets a little bit of extra shine. But
it's the Romo syndrome. Yeah, like it's just like,
I
didn't
think
win it. And like you're gonna get scrutinized like that. Just like Daniel Jones is going to get scrutinized if he gets paid 34 million, 35 million, 40 million, whatever they would give him in this instance. If Daniel Jones doesn't go out there and perform, he's gonna just get rose. Like, you paid him this much. That's exactly what happened with Dak Prescott. And you get those expectations when you get the contract. And that's just fucking part of the business. And that's what's like, everybody's like, well, we don't want to do this. Like, but if you think Daniel Jones can realistically win us the Super Bowl and be a Super Bowl winning quarterback, which I think he's got the talent to do, if we put the pieces around him, then you give that guy the money. You give that guy the money. I think Daniel Jones could not fuck it up and get us into a Super Bowl and win. We saw what he did against the Vikings. The Eagles were just like a team of destiny kind of situation almost this year. Getting to the Super Bowl, at least they were just leaps and bounds better than us. This was a rebuilding year, and Daniel Jones was the reason we got to the second round. Him and Saquon Barkley exclusively, I would say. I mean, he made plays. He knew what to do. This offense was nothing without Daniel Jones towards the last like 4 or 5 games of the season. And I think that like if you're gonna keep him as your guy, you got to pay him at this point. Like you can't just keep a franchise quarterback for like $15 million a year for 5 years. Like that seems awesome, but that's fucking Madden. Madden, you can do that. You can't do that in real life because that guy wants to get paid and he'll play somewhere else where somebody will give him $30 million. Somebody will pay Daniel Jones $30 million. I don't know who. If it's not the Giants, somebody will do it though.
maybe the Jets if they don't get
The Jets,
Rodgers.
the Saints. Like there's plenty of teams. The fucking Buccaneers, they need a quarterback. There's so many teams that need a quarterback in this league.
Miami,
and I think
maybe.
that Daniel Jones, but like to me, there's 4 or 5 maybe elite quarterbacks at any given time in the NFL, and then there's 10 to 12 guys where you're like, yeah, okay, like let's roll with that guy for a long time, and they can go in and out of the elite and like just a guy. Like, but Daniel Jones is a guy. I think he's the guy for a franchise, and you can be the guy for a franchise. Jake Delhomme was the guy for a franchise for a little while. He wasn't like going to destroy record books and shit like that, but he was going to be a quarterback for the Panthers, and he got them there. He was never an elite quarterback, but he was always right around there. Matt Schaub was kind of that way with the Texans for a very, very long time. And it was like, hey, he can stay because he's not fucking the team over. He's not making bad decisions, and he's not the reason that they're not winning things. He would take them to the playoffs year in and year out. And it's just like Daniel Jones is. I'm not saying that. Like I think Daniel Jones is better than Matt Schaub, but like if he's going to be a consistent quarterback for the same franchise, you got to give that guy money.
Yeah. And even
it's stupid that people just don't think that though. Like, whoa, we can just go draft a quarterback, because what happens if that doesn't work? You start over with square one. Like, yeah, it's cheaper, but you're right back to square one. You got to develop the quarterback. You got to hope that everything works. You got to hope that they don't get the jitters. You got to hope that like they fit with the offensive scheme the way that like Daniel Jones was able to have a team built around him. Like, if you're going to build around Daniel Jones, you're going to build around Daniel Jones. You got to pay him, and I think that's what you do.
And also the 45 million number thrown around, not necessarily guaranteed. Maybe just fantasy booking here. Why not? Why couldn't you do something like, hey, you get 25 guaranteed. If we make the playoffs, you get an extra X amount. If we get the championship game, we get this much more. So you have 25 base, and then you could potentially earn 45, 50 million if we win the Super Bowl or something like that.
So Dak Prescott, looking at Dak Prescott, 40,000, 40 million, my bad, $40 million a year. So if Daniel Jones is going to get paid, like, you can't get mad that Daniel Jones is asking for Dak Prescott money, even if you want to make fun of Dak Prescott deal. Like Dak Prescott, the Cowboys are saying he's going to be their guy for the next like foreseeable future. Daniel Jones should be our guy for the foreseeable future, unless something fucking terrible happens, and then you just got to bite the bullet and have the cap hits and all that shit. Like that's what happens. That's the business, man. Like you got to commit to a guy or don't. And if they don't, then like you risk starting all over. And I think we're in a good spot with a guy that I think is good enough to lead us to a championship eventually.
Yeah. And like we said, it's obviously negotiating. So if he's asking 45 but expecting, say, 35, like, can you begrudge a man asking for less or around the same as Dak Prescott, who has achieved the exact same amount of things in his career?
If you are saying that you wouldn't be like, I want to take, like, if your boss was like, I could give you 45 million a year, Mike, or I could give you 25 million, would you be like, you know what? For all the other employees here at the company, why don't I take the bullet and I'll just take the 25? No, you'd be like, I'll take the 45. I'll take all of that. I'll take the 45. Let's go with the higher number. Like, that's what this is, a fucking job, man. And the people that are getting mad about that, it's like, okay, go tell me that you're going to turn down a raise the next time you get. Just tell your boss you can have that raise because you want to help out all of the other employees. Why don't you even it up, like divide it up evenly amongst my coworkers? Nobody does that.
No. Well, maybe there's someone people didn't, but
people just want to yell on Twitter and like Daniel Jones, make him the guy. Make him the guy.
That's a crazy accusation you're making there.
But make him the guy.
Twitter's a lovely place to live. Yeah. Anything else? I think since we last spoke, I guess, on the show, and it's old news now, but we got the confirmation, the guarantee that Wink and the other guy, I always forget the
Mike Kafka.
name. Mike Kafka gonna be around next year. It's good news. I guess nothing really divulged.
Consistency is key. Consistency is key. We just gotta keep the winning percentage up like it was this year. Don't dip it down there. But like when you have a second year with the same kind of coaching scheme, it'll be if Daniel Jones stays with the Giants, this will be
is this gonna be the first time he's had a same offensive coordinator 2 seasons?
It'd be the first time he had the same OC forever. And it's like that was always like that's always when you look at coaches that have quarterbacks that have struggled, a lot of times it is when they just get that bullshit. Okay, every coaching regime that they're under is fired immediately or after 1 or 2 years, and so they're only with one guy or somebody's blamed as the OC, like Jason Garrett was with Judge, and he was out, and there was like Dan Jones. I think he had Judge was I guess no, he had Jason Garrett. He had, I think Pat Shurmur drafted him, right? I don't know. He had Jason Garrett though, and then he had what's the old coach of the Browns that was our OC after Garrett got fired. So he's on his third offensive coordinator the last 2 years. So this would be nice to be like, hey, let's go with that same offensive scheme that we had last year, and then we can build onto it. That's one reason I think Daniel he has to know that like what the coaching staff did is a large reason that like he was successful last year. That's why I don't think he's just going to try and motherfuck the Giants. But he could if he wanted to. As you were saying, Mike, that's all I had to say about that.
Also, a bit of good news as well, I think, because he thoroughly earned it. Saw Isaiah Hodgins got given a new contract as well. Stick around next year for the Giants. So shout out to him. I heard him being interviewed on the radio. He sounds like a thoroughly nice young man.
Nice gentleman.
You can take
nice
him
young
home to
lad.
your parents, and he would not disappoint.
He'd be your dad's Flynn Downs. Isaiah Hodgins would be Flynn Downs if your dad was really a Giants fan. You know, they should get Isaiah Hodgins in there a little bit more, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Hey, Mike, what do you think about Isaiah Hodgins starting again next week, huh? Like, yeah, Dad. I like him too.
I might start texting my dad that, see what he responds to. I just start randomly texting him about Giants and stuff. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, sure. Anyway, let's break some up. Let's start this week's joke of the day.
The joke of the day.
So, Alex, lately, February's a tough month for me. I've got my birthday, Valentine's Day, Christmas is just gone. So, funds are a little bit low. So I've been trying to help myself out. And so, I started breeding racing deer. Any way to make a quick buck. Make a quick buck.
The joke of the day.
This segment is like those Christmas poppers. That's the joke in those that you're just telling everybody each week.
Yep.
And the intros and outros are longer than the actual segment itself.
Yeah, I tried to stretch out the joke a little bit. Well, at
I'm
least
pretty sure if you time it, they were about as
long.
long. That's true. You've been really liking the cheese jokes lately. Racing deer, though.
I don't even know if that's a thing. Although Santa Claus, his deer are quite
I don't
fast.
think it is.
Has
I don't
to,
think they race, though. I think they just
picking their competitive.
fly.
Yeah, they're stupid animals. They don't know they're
They
tied
got a pretty
down.
cushy job,
Right.
dude. They had a pretty cushy job,
When do you think Santa Claus and his reindeer start work? Because you have to obviously have the break in the new year, but then you can't just go 24 hours once a year without warming
haven't
up.
you seen the movie The Santa Claus?
Is that the one with John
Tim
Lithgow
Allen?
as the bad guy? Oh no, that's I'm thinking of
Tim
Santa Claus the
Allen,
movie.
yeah. Real Santa falls off the roof and he has to be Santa because that guy's dead and he found him. It just shows you behind the scenes, dude. It's like a documentary on how Christmas is made. I'm sure they got to do some test runs though. Make sure the sleigh's going good. Make sure the reindeer are in shape. But I bet you don't really have to. You just take the reindeer for a nice little it's like a dog, You keep them in decent shape throughout the year. They don't have to go crazy, but you get a little off season after Christmas.
I just always wondered whenever you see Santa Claus in those movies, the reindeer, even though they're in the air, they're still fucking going for it with their legs. Like what?
Magic.
What are they doing? What are they grabbing onto to propel themselves?
Magic air roads. That's the beauty of magic. You can just write it off. It's like it's magic. That's why it does that. Well, why? How come? Because of magic.
Because of magic.
You don't have to.
Well, there you go. We've settled that finally. Oh, West Ham. Oh, West Ham. I when was the last time, other than the FA Cup? Was it the FA Cup that we won? I can't even remember anymore. When was the last time we won?
It's been. Feels like it's been a while. And we got some points for a little bit.
Yeah, we drew with Chelsea and Newcastle.
So we got points, but I don't know. In the beginning of this game, it felt like we were gonna just maybe salvage a draw. West Ham just likes to do this thing where we have 2 attacking attempts a game, and we have to hope that we score on one, or we're gonna lose. And we don't really have anything outside of that. We had one towards the end of that first half, and I think we had a couple corner opportunities. I feel like in the second, that was about the chances that we had. It's just all right, why do we want to attack? We'll just hope that we can counter them, even if everybody's kind of playing that way now. Everybody sits back. It's not it was kind of sneaky initially. Now it's not. They're onto it. They know that that's the only thing you can do against West Ham. Just sit back and just watch them drown.
I mean, we did. There was a couple of because it was the goalkeeper for them because it wasn't Lloris. Forster. Sure. He made a couple of good saves, so fair play to him. Fraser Forster. Oh, I recognize him. He used to play for Southampton. Anyway, but I don't know. Why did we start with, including the goalkeeper, 8 defensive players?
I don't know, man. I mean, there were times though, our defense looked good until it didn't, and it's we do have everybody back there. We better be pretty good. But there was one point where they're wow. And I mean, hats off to West Ham's defense right there. Every player we had was in the box. Yeah, they had to be fucking good right there. I don't know what else they were supposed to do. I don't know. This is really frustrating to watch. I don't think we're gonna get relegated, but it's going to be one of those just shit seasons until Leeds will get relegated. Leeds doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah, if they get in trouble for the fair play shit or whatever it is, they're screwed.
I'm not saying they deserve it necessarily.
Bournemouth will go down. Leeds will go down. Southampton goes down. Those teams are way worse than us. I mean, we don't play like that all the time, but I think we have a better squad than they do. Bournemouth, it's a yo-yo year.
15 games to go. We need to start fucking winning.
I know. We definitely do. But
January 1st, a full month ago was the last time we won a league game. And then the time before that,
this is just gonna be a Giants podcast if we get relegated. I'm not watching fucking championship soccer.
the time before, well, this can't be right.
We won the Derby County game.
So we last won on January 21st, and before that was October 24th in the league. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, not great. It's not been a great year. And like we have Nottingham, which we gotta win. That's a must win. I mean, then we got Villa next month that we could maybe beat, but we have City, Brighton, and United all next
United's
month.
Cup's
So
not
like
even
those,
shit at this point. I don't care about
Yeah.
the cup anymore. Like,
one of them is the fuck. I don't give a fuck about that either.
I think we just need to
we
stay up
could-
and win the Europa Conference League. Let's win
Conference
Europa
League,
Conference
yeah, and then it'll be like that counts. That's our real league we're caring about this year is the Conference League where we haven't lost. But we get Southampton, huh? How about that? That's a game. Fuck, did we go? Yeah, we go Southampton, Newcastle, Fulham, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Crystal Palace. End up with United, Brentford, Leeds, and Leicester. So we pretty much have to just like hope we can steal some points here this month and then just get lucky. Again, we're better than Southampton. We're better than Leeds. And we're better than Bournemouth.
where are you? Because at this point, you have to think. Obviously, the season's a wash at this point. We're not going to achieve anything in the league. The only thing we can achieve this year is not going
Getting
down.
into the Europa League next year. Because we're going to win Conference League. Duh.
Your
So when
thoughts
we bounce
are
back, we have a bounce back year next year because we're already in Europa League. So it's like there's European soccer. We're good. We keep all the guys. We run it back.
I was saying, your thoughts
just-
on making it to the summer and maybe getting some more new players, but then the current new players haven't really. And do we want David Moyes another round?
I don't think Moyes gets fired this season. I don't think he gets fired until the end of the season. If we,
That's what
especially
I'm
like, if we get relegated. These are his guys, and like we're gonna let him die with his guys because like this team's gonna obviously just be nothing like it is right now. If we get taken, if we go down, if we stay, I think like there's gonna be some wholesale changes probably. I don't know about Moyes. Like they let him build this. I think you got to give him like we're West Ham. We're not Man City. Liverpool even's having a down year really this year. They just have different expectations than we do. I think you got to like hope that Moyes can turn around and say, hey, get a fucking striker or maybe a couple of strikers, change it up enough, and just hope that things work out next year. I don't know. I mean, like it's weird with like Ings hasn't really done anything since he's come over. I know he got injured. Just the amount of like just shit this season that we've had where just like there were weird injuries from new guys that didn't really fit and didn't get to gel yet. The World Cup break was weird to a lot of people, I think. You just gotta hope that I think they're gonna be able to weather this storm. I think we'll barely probably stay up. It'll come down to like the last couple of days or weeks of the season, but I don't know. I don't know what you do with Moyes after that.
So, here's the exciting bit, though, as we reach this part of the season, because we are February is 28th, so 1 week away from March 2023, which is when the loophole opens up to where David Sullivan can sell his shares in West Ham without incurring a giant tax bill. So do you think this is when Kretinsky cashes in and purchases the football club? Because I was just doing some research there, because I know
that would be a good.
I don't know whether it's a FIFA rule or a UEFA rule, but I know one person cannot hold controlling stake in two football clubs, no matter whether they're in different leagues. And he owns 40% of Sparta Prague, so that's cool. So it's a minority, so there's nothing stopping him from getting the majority West Ham. I have no idea about what his background is, but for some reason I'm excited. I'm kind of wanting it to happen.
He's different, yeah. I mean, if there was a time to sell it, that would be the time, I think.
Because to break it down, so Sullivan still owns 38.8. So
because Sullivan, if they're going to get relegated, is going to want to sell it as like available. You know, like, hey, well, we're in the Premier League right now. You can't. The value goes down if it's a championship.
Oh, a bunch,
franchise,
a big old bunch. So because even if he wanted to keep some of the stock on to make some money, all he would need to do is sell 24% of his shares, and he'd still own like 14%. Then Daniel would have 51. Happy days. Let's do it.
Right. It makes sense.
Make it so. Sign on the dotted line.
Sense.
But yeah, so we'll see. That's the rumor that's been going on for quite a while, ever since he came into the club. So
well, that was kind of his plan, was to buy more shares of it at a certain point.
Yeah. And like I said, normally I would expect this to kind of run to the end of the season. But like you say, even though we're confident West Ham aren't going to get relegated, there is definitely
David Gold's
the chance looming.
He's a money guy, and that's a significant amount of dollar or pounds, whatever the fuck he's using over there. Euros?
Pounds.
A significant amount of pounds that would be different if you were the championship.
I mean, you're more of a betting man than I am, but we've all sat there looking at that cash out option before the game ends, and sometimes you are kind of like, oh, it's a pretty good offer.
But you're like, this is a franchise that is obviously going. Yeah, it's a little bit different than but I think you hedge your bet if he will do it. But I could also see the check dude being like, yeah, let's wait till the end of the season, bro. Like, why would he be so eager to buy right then?
That is true.
Like, if he was going to buy a EPL club, he'll buy the EPL club at the end of the season. If he's going to buy a championship club, and like it could be a championship club, why do you want to buy it? One, or do you want to just buy it and then bring it back up?
But then, yes, it all depends on how much you're a betting man, because in theory, what you could say is, okay, well, if we're still a Premier League club, those shares are worth, I'm just throwing a number out here, I don't know. Actually, can you? If it's a public trade, can you lower the price of your own shares, or what the market value is? Right, you can't really do that.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know how to fucking anyway.
But I think he could also just be like, I don't want to buy West Ham. Like, that could just be how he does it, and just, all right, well, I'll just be a minority investor in this club. Just stay a minority investor. Like, there's no incentive to do that unless he really wants to take over a club and invest a bunch of money in it. Which we kind of need that to happen, because that's about to happen with two other clubs. So,
yeah. Well, thanks for ruining my excitement for next week. Buzzkiller.
Hey, just like our dreams, they fade to die.
This is true.
We've been prepping for this the whole time.
By the way, before we get the plugs in and wrap up, is it just on my end, or does every now and again do I get a little bit choppy in the video? Have you noticed that?
Every now and then, not often.
Okay, well, whatever, it's better than it was last week. Anyway, but yeah, so that's that. And so this shit up. So who we losing to this weekend? Oh God,
Nottingham.
Fucking tastic.
This is a must win, or can't lose, either one.
This shit, but so we. Oh my God! But they did just draw to Man City, but then they did lose to Fulham. I don't know. This year,
they're up and down.
Hard to predict.
Yeah, the table is
like, for example,
odd when you look at it.
Like Liverpool. What the fuck is up with them? They beat Newcastle 2-0 and they move up to 8th. Did you watch the Champions League game today? Did you watch it?
I saw it. It was wild. I did not watch any of it.
It was pretty funny. watching them all get cocky and happy 2-0 up after 13 minutes, and then they lose 5-2. That was pretty funny. Because I don't subscribe to this whole, well, they're an English team, so you're English, so you have to support them in Europe. No, it's funny when teams that I'm familiar with lose. It's
hilarious. Yeah. But like, I don't want a weird final though. I want teams that like I kind of know, unless it's Tottenham. So I'm always like, throw Ajax in there one year. Give us Ajax and PSG. That'll be fine with that.
Yeah. We haven't seen them for a while. Ajax used to be a dominant team in Europe. Now
they're just a farm league, a farm team for everybody else. They're basically like the Netherlands, Barcelona, and they're just like, and you guys can have this guy. You guys can have this guy.
And they play in the Uri division. What the fuck does that mean? Sounds Dutch to me. Anyway, what else are we talking about this week in other podcasts we've got going on? Past the Gravy 502.
Yeah, 502.
It'll be 1,000 before we know it. What have you got looking forward to this week?
Trains. We're going to talk about trains. They're very hot right now. We're going to talk about misogyny and Tiger Woods and tampons and how people are outraged over that. Also talk a little XFL. I'll talk about pretty much how I am one of the greatest part owners in sports history. And then we're going to answer some of your questions and tell you guys what's not cool this week. What about on Waffle Box? What can we look forward to there?
Well, Waffle Box, we're talking about the German ballet director who, let's just say, doesn't take criticism very well and how he dealt with that. Very interesting story. And then we've got a Dumb World record of the week, as suggested by a listener, Alex O. We've got our first listener suggested Dumb World record. So shout out to him, even though he's not here this week. Bastard. He could have basked in his glory. Look at that. I mentioned him and he's not even here. And then Cushy is reviewing Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania, whatever that film is called. And then Feel Good Story and all that good jam. So check that out. Look, if you're watching the scrolling thing is ticking. Go to
just do that. Do what that says.
POD and at Wafflebox POD. Usual schedule. You know the drill. Waffle Box will be out nice and early, so you can listen to that in the morning or the early afternoon. And then for dessert, just because you've got some more room for some yummy podcasts for dessert, get that past that gravy action in the evening. That's what I like to do anyway. I don't know that I listen to my own podcast. Do you ever listen to your own podcast back? I've never do that. I find it weird. I watch it back for a bit to get clips, but other than that, I don't know. I don't listen to it, so it could sound like shit for all I know.
No, I just do editing on it. So yeah, I mean, I don't watch the whole thing always, but there's good chunks of it for sure.
How long does it take to edit? Because I'm very like what you hear is what you get with Wafflebox. I'm far too lazy. I just kind of clean up the beginning and the end, and it's out there. And
I like to clip it together and piece it together where it like doesn't seem like if somebody stutters or something like that, I try and cut those out if I can, and it doesn't look weird. It takes a while. It's stupid. I'm weird, and my brain is weird. Where I'm like, well, it's got to be perfect. Somebody's gonna turn it off if I stutter on that, or if somebody talks over somebody.
And that's why.
So watch those clips because
you're ahead of the game.
I work hard on them.
Beautiful.
But anyways,
Anyway, so yeah, follow that at Wafflebox Pod, at Past Gravy Pod for all of your deliciousness. Also, don't forget to follow us at Alex J Middleton, at Only Mike Fish, and you'll get some Twitter nonsense where we won't be yelling at people, but you might get a little treat in the next 7 days.
Yelling at people.
Maybe Alex pokes some bears again. He does like to.
You never know.
Troll the trolls. But until next week, don't forget.
Seahorses forever.
See you next Tuesday.
Hey, let's go to Peyton. He's going to break down that touchdown. Can't hear shit. Never mind.